Welcome back to the Blessings Podcast, my friends. This is a place where we shine a light, I shine a light, on the blessings and the lessons of life and how we can use those points of wisdom and points of gratitude to make our lives the best they can possibly be. We all want to have a positive mindset because it is directly related to our level of income, our level of wellness, and the amount of joy that you have in your life. It affects everything from your finances to your relationships. And that's why it's so important and why I'm so passionate about spreading the word, because you can see that life is happening for you, not to you. And when that becomes your paradigm, your life changes. I want to see everyone thriving. So let's go. Happy New Year. I am putting this episode out on New Year's Day, and maybe I'm crazy. Maybe nobody will hear it on New Year's Day. It doesn't matter because the message has major significance at any time, not just on New Year's Day. Because everybody is talking about resolutions, New Year's resolutions. I don't make them anymore. And I'll tell you what I do instead, because I don't want to come up with a list of hollow ideas, hollow promises. I want to make real promises to myself. And this is what I think of when I think about the idea of making resolutions. I don't want to make resolutions that are goals that may or may not happen, things I'm wishing for. They feel like wishes, resolutions. And what I want to do is make promises. I want to set intentions and make real statements to myself that I know I can actually follow through on and keep. And the reason why is because when I make a promise to myself and I keep it, that is one of the most powerful things I can do to raise my consciousness and build my self-confidence and my level of self-trust. And I'll explain why. A resolution is not about achievements. It's more about alignment, the true purpose. And so that's why when we get caught up in the cultural, social media style resolution making, it rings a little hollow to me. So I am thinking of it in my own terms. I'm asking myself this question: what am I promising the future version of me? Because if I frame it as a promise, it feels more sacred. It feels like I could relate to it better, and it feels a little bit more binding than some kind of list of goals that are like pie in the sky. When I make a promise to myself, I'm entering into a relationship with my own consciousness, with my soul. I am the giver of the promise, and I am also the receiver of the promise. This shifts the energy from pressure, or maybe even social pressure to create some kind of a list of resolutions that I know I'm just doing out of obligation. It shifts the energy into a partnership that I'm creating with my own self. I'm creating a little soul contract with myself when I make a promise to myself. And it becomes less about performing and more about actually taking care of myself. It becomes a form of self-love. Self-promises activate the nervous system differently than vague goals. My nervous system relies on predictability and follow through. My nervous system needs to trust me in order to feel calm and regulated. And we all know what it feels like when our nervous system is not regulated, when you feel uncertain and you can't trust yourself. So that's why making and keeping promises to yourself, whether these are big or small, it helps to teach your body and the physical processes in your body that you can count on yourself, that you're safe. You're a safe person. Your body needs to feel that you're a safe person. Your mind can say, oh, I know I can trust myself. But your body doesn't feel that unless you actually follow through on things and show it. It's almost like a different part of you, like a separate part of you. So self-promises that you make and keep actually show your whole body, mind, and spirit that you can count on all those parts of you to work together in your best interests. And this reduces internal stress. And it also increases your emotional resilience, keeps you calm. It It keeps you in a state where you're able to not get freaked out about things because you know that you are making promises that you will keep. You can promise yourself something and you follow through. It could be something as simple as I am promising myself that I am going to have only one dessert. I am promising myself that I am not going to get into an argument with Aunt Sue over politics. I am promising myself that I am going to finish my workout before I have breakfast today. Little things. And when you make promises like this and you follow through, the more you build up that muscle of promising yourself and following through, the promise muscle, so that when you are ready to promise yourself something bigger, the identity related intentions, the person who we want to become in a new year, when we promise ourselves bigger things and then we follow through on bigger things, this is huge for your physical, emotional, and spiritual development and well-being. And it sets the stage for major positive movements forward in your self-actualization process. Because when you break promises to yourself, think of how you feel when someone breaks a promise to you. That is exactly what happens in your body and your mind when you break a promise to yourself. You are eroding self-trust. So every time you say, I'm going to do X, Y, or Z, and then you don't follow through, your brain registers that. And over time, this creates a nervous system imprint that you are unreliable. And you don't want yourself to believe that you are unreliable. You want your inner self, your inner voice, your inner consciousness to feel aligned and safe so that you can create the reality that you want. It's not about shame when you mess up or you don't follow through, but it's about understanding why it becomes harder to believe your own intentions. If you don't follow through with things that you intend to do, you're going to believe yourself to be a person who doesn't follow through. You're going to say to yourself, well, I always say I'm going to work out more in the new year, but I never do. I always say I'm going to stop eating too many cookies, and I never stop. I always say I'm going to do X, Y, or Z, but then it never happens. And you're going to blame it on yourself or on something outside of you, which is even worse. And this is just all symbolic of the erosion of self-trust. You want to be somebody who you can count on because you're the only one that you can ever count on fully to be there all the time. If you can't count on yourself, you literally have no one. And this is why building a sense of internal competency, internal trust is so essential for your self-esteem and your well-being. Because you're literally wiring your brain for things like capability, competency, self-efficacy, self-sufficiency, trust, and consistency. Even little tiny micro promises like, say, I am promising myself that I'm going to have my 8 glasses of water today. I am promising myself that I'm going to take 1 walk every day. I promise that I'm going to show up for my children for a certain amount of time every single day. I promise myself that I am going to turn off my devices at a certain time in the evening so that I'm limiting my exposure to the blue light, to the EMF frequencies. Whatever it is for you, if you make those promises that you know are going to move the needle forward for you in your life, especially those kinds of promises that you know are meant to make you a better person, and then as a result, you become a better person, you stay more hydrated, you are exercised, you are a present parent or friend, then you're building self-trust. You're not only building good relationships with others, you're not only building good relationships with your habits and procedures and processes of your life, but you are forming a foundation for every single transformation, every single goal, aspiration that you have in your life. Because self-trust is the basis of all of that. When you trust yourself, you are able to take risks without spiraling, without freaking out. You're able to try again and get back up again and again and again after a setback. You stop outsourcing validation and direction to everyone else, and you trust your internal guidance system. Self promises create emotional safety. Your body feels calmer when your actions match your intentions. How many of you get upset with yourself when you don't follow through on something? I do. That's human nature. So think about the opposite and how when you do follow through, you don't get that same signal of clenching up inside of your gut. You don't feel negative consequences when you follow through. And often we don't acknowledge that there are in fact positive consequences. There are in fact positive signals in the body. We just think of them as part of the natural way that we are. When we don't feel bad, we feel good, and we take for granted the feeling good, which we should be able to acknowledge. Oh man, I feel great. I am so proud of myself. I followed through on that. Emotional regulation improves in these situations because your brain stops bracing for disappointment from the person it's supposed to be able to trust, you. You teach your brain that you're a person who follows through, and then you stop doubting yourself. So the key is not about perfection, though. And I want you to keep this in mind because you are going to still break promises to yourself. I'm not saying you should put this crazy pressure on yourself. You're human. When you break a promise to yourself, all you have to do is repair it, just like you would in any healthy relationship. And your relationship with yourself is exactly the same. How do you repair it? You say, oops, I meant to follow through on that and I didn't. So the next time, here's what I'm going to do differently. I'm going to recommit very gently, giving myself grace. I'm going to adjust the promise. Maybe the promise was something that was just too big and I need to make an adjustment so that I can make it winnable for myself. That's okay. Make a change. It's all feedback. It's all information. And this is how you maintain trust instead of abandoning the relationship with yourself, which is the most important relationship you'll ever have. You need to make promises that feel supportive, not punishing. So you're going to promise things that feel good, not things that feel bad. I promise to check in with myself every morning to make sure I'm feeling great before I jump into the day. I promise to choose one loving action every single day. I promise to do one good deed for someone else every single day. I promise to honor my energy and to rest when my body is telling me to slow down instead of ignoring it. These kinds of promises are a lot easier to keep than bigger promises like I promise I'm going to go join the 75 hard and do 75 days of this crazy intense workout, and then I'm going to read 50 books and I'm going to do, that stuff just gets too much. And then you're going to not follow through, and then you're going to not trust yourself. Don't get stuck in a cycle like that. I always said this as a teacher. Set yourself up for success. We want to set up the learning environment for success, and life is your learning environment. So set it up for success. A promise at the end of the day is a signal to yourself. You're telling yourself, I matter. Keeping promises to yourself reinforces your self-worth. And if you break a promise to yourself, be compassionate and realize that you are just reinforcing your humanity. You're only human. Think of it as information. It's just data. And then when you recommit to either that promise or a new version of that promise, you reinforce your power over yourself, because that's what you're doing. You're taking the wheel. This is why promises work, because they speak directly to identity. This is why I like to reframe resolutions as promises, because it removes the shame around failed resolutions, which is inevitable. It places the focus on your relationship with yourself, consistency in your identity. This is how I am. I am a person who does X. I am a person who keeps promises to myself. I am a person who makes the kind of promises to myself that I know I can keep. And it reinforces self-trust. It's not about willpower. It's not about grit and determination and forcing and pushing. It's about allowing. It's about becoming an expanded version of yourself. It's about seeing how big your heart can get. It's about a gentle, doable set of intentions that set your nervous system up for feeling amazing. And this is what the new year is about for me. It's about making promises to be the best version of myself that I can possibly be, to make it a priority to think in terms of expansion rather than contraction. And when I'm making decisions for this year, my main priority is to ask myself this question: is it expanding me or is it contracting me? And I'm not going to be making promises that I don't know I can keep. I am going to be making the kinds of promises that I want to keep and that I know with 100% certainty that I will keep. And I trust myself with that decision. I know that I can make promises to myself and I can keep them. And you will feel that too. One of the best ways that I show up for myself, and I'm not just saying this because I want you to join it, but I do want you to join it because I think it makes a difference in your life, but it's reading those messages that I send to myself every morning. The Your Positive Moment messages have changed my life. Not only because they're based on the messages my dad has sent me and still continues to send me every day. So now I have two messages, really. I get the one from my dad, which thank God I'm still getting and hopefully will get for many, many years. But I get the one that I send to myself, which is even more in depth than what my dad sends. I choose my mindset because I get that message repeated day after day. I'm not drifting through my day. I'm directing it. And that's what messages to yourself in whatever form, whether you're getting my messages or you're using some form of self-messaging as a morning ritual. This is daily evidence that you're building a life from the inside out. This is daily evidence that you're anchored in optimism, presence, and possibility. This is evidence that you can trust yourself. And that's why the shift into positivity and self-trust is so important. And the new year is just the perfect time to recommit to that. So I hope that you have an amazing New Year's Day, whether you're eating dip and watching football like my guy is going to be doing. And I don't eat dip, but I will make it. I'm just going to be really wallowing in what is possible for me and for the world, for all the people I love, and for all the people that exist that I don't even know. What's possible for us, because there's so much potential. There's so much good. There's so much beauty. There's so much wonderful shit out there. Let's go out and find it.